Can you imagine what it means to be one of the most talented drivers of your generation and know every time you get in the car that you can't win? Leclerc faces a paradox. The frustration is evident at the 6th round of the 2025 World Championship in Miami. The talent is there, the determination too, but the SF25 continues to not be up to par. At this moment, Ferrari is still his first real opponent. Before we begin, like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you catch the upcoming videos. The issue isn't the driving or preparation. Leclerc has shown several times that he can maximize the potential of the car, as demonstrated by the extraordinary qualifications in Jeddah or Melbourne. But the limit always comes later, when it's time to convert the performance into a result. The fact is clear, in 5 races so far, Ferrari has made it to the podium 3 times, but always with significant gaps from the top. Verstappen's Red Bull, when everything works, is simply on another planet. McLaren has shown a more consistent race pace, and even Russell's Mercedes, albeit fluctuating, often had more speed than the SF25. The problem with Ferrari is structural. The single-seater has improved balance compared to 2024, but it remains too sensitive to setup variations. The ideal tire usage window is narrow, and the instability at the rear in low grip sections is particularly penalizing on the race pace. In Miami, where aerodynamic efficiency and traction out of slow corners matter, the risk is that all this translates into another Sunday spent defending rather than attacking. Leclerc is aware of it, evident in his increasingly measured statements. Behind the diplomacy, however, there is a growing awareness. This Ferrari today will not allow him to fight for the title. Time passes and he reaches his 6th year with the team. He has signed a renewal, but how long can a champion resist without a realistic chance of winning? His races prove it. He fights first and foremost with the car. Every turn is a correction, every lap an exercise in adaptation. Because it's one thing to be beaten by a stronger opponent. Another thing is knowing that even if you do everything perfectly, the best possible result is a podium if the others make mistakes. The situation is also reflected mentally. When your limit is not your talent but the vehicle you drive, it's hard to stay motivated. Yet Leclerc continues to give his all. He is the only true technical and sporting leader of the team, but a team that still too often seems unprepared. The communicative approach remains too corporate, too clean, and on the track it translates into strategic indecision, mistakes in the pits, lack of audacity. Frédéric Vasseur continues to transmit optimism, but the results do not follow. After 5 weekends, Ferrari has accumulated 118 points against Red Bull's 180, and the improvements seen in the tests have not translated into consistent race performance. Most of all, that visceral hunger for victory is missing, the one that oozes in every gesture of those who are obsessed with the title. In Maranello, too often relaxed faces are seen even after mediocre results. And then there's the management. John Elkann is increasingly distant. In 16 years, Ferrari has only come close to the driver's title twice, 2010 with Alonso, 2012 again with the Spaniard. And the problem is precisely this: it seems that no one at the top really feels responsible for winning. Leclerc may deliver another qualifying masterclass in Miami. A perfect lap puts the SF25 ahead of superior cars, but the script repeats on Sunday. If all goes well with the right strategy and optimal tire management, a 3rd or possibly even 2nd place finish is achievable. But is it enough? No, not for someone like Charles. The real question that everyone avoids is simple. How much longer will he remain, considering he's battled more with his car than his rivals for years? Ferrari must act. Concrete technical answers are needed. Updates that really work not only on paper. A clear direction, strong leadership. Above all, a car that is up to its driver, because there is nothing sadder than wasted talent, and Leclerc deserves much more. What really makes the difference when a car is not enough, when speed no longer comes from aerodynamics or engine power, but from how much a driver is willing to transform to adapt? Charles Leclerc is doing exactly this with the Ferrari SF25, and he admitted it in Miami without beating around the bush. To make this car competitive, he had to push himself in a completely new direction. The Monegasque, apart from talking about extreme choices in terms of setup, has mentioned very advanced technical solutions that have radically changed the behavior of the SF25, especially in qualifying. The single-seater is now much more front-end focused, with a marked tendency to oversteer, which makes it extremely responsive but also more unstable. Pushing it to the limit demands an aggressive approach, constant control, and great sensitivity, as mistakes are always lurking nearby. Leclerc clearly said, "I'm changing my driving style quite a bit to adapt to these demands." Pushing the car to its limit is a difficult but enjoyable challenge that I've always appreciated in my career. And this statement alone says a lot about the level of technical sacrifice he has reached. It's not just about talent, but about adaptation, about the ability to rewrite one's driving habits to compensate for the car's limitations. Despite improvements since the start of the year, the SF25 is not yet a complete single-seater. In Suzuka and Bahrain, Charles had solid performances, but failed to reach the podium. A sign that the speed is there only when the entire system is pushed to its extreme limits. Leclerc also warned, this approach doesn't work everywhere. These choices may not always pay off, but for now he only sees benefits, he explained. It's a constant job of refinement, race after race, to find a balance between pure performance and stability, especially on city circuits like Miami, where grip variations are continuous and tire management is crucial. The American weekend brings back the sprint format, the same one that allowed Hamilton to shine in China. And on this very point, Charles was very clear. Everyone has only one free session to find the right setup. Whoever gets into the right window right away can make a difference. In Shanghai, Lewis found the perfect balance and capitalized on it. Ferrari put in significant work on the simulator to prepare, as they couldn't afford even a single misstep in these situations. Leclerc spoke significantly about Hamilton, who keeps struggling with the SF25. I am sure that Lewis will make it, and I can say that I've already learned a lot from him. The arrival of the 7-time world champion has introduced new dynamics to the team, a different, more analytical mindset, which is leading Ferrari to question many historical certainties. Leclerc, for his part, has not closed himself off. He has welcomed the change. In fact, he is benefiting from it. In conclusion, today Ferrari does not win with the car, but can stay in the fight thanks to the exceptional level of its driver. And this weekend, if they manage once again to put everything together from Friday, Leclerc could surprise again, not by magic but by work, because every 10th won by Charles today comes first from the steering wheel than from the chassis. We have taken rather extreme directions on the setup to extract something more from the car. I'm changing a lot of my driving style to adapt. From Suzuka to today, Leclerc is rewriting the way he drives. And it's not just a matter of details, it's a radical rethink, switching from a more neutral car to one heavily focused on the front, with a tendency to oversteer that makes it nervous, especially in qualifying. The result is a car that's harder to push to the limit, but also higher performing. He admitted it's difficult, but it's something he's always enjoyed. It demands greater control, technique, and instinct. It demands the best of Leclerc's skills. The results are telling. 2 fourth-place finishes from Suzuka to Bahrain. A podium, respectable results, but below the maximum potential that Charles tries to reach every weekend. And he does it starting from a very clear awareness. This SF25 as it is not yet a title car, so the only weapon available is continuous adaptation. Leclerc is determined to continue pushing himself as long as this approach yields improvements, without neglecting his human side. Charles is aware that drivers have varied processes. When asked about Hamilton, he gives a diplomatic response. Comparing feelings between drivers is always difficult. After 7 years at Ferrari, there are things that come naturally to me without me noticing, but I'm also driving very differently this year. And this is an important statement, because if even the longest-serving driver on the team has to change so much, it means that the SF25 is a single-seater that doesn't forgive. Leclerc is not complaining. Instead, he clearly states that they are still exploring and pushing in that direction. For now, I only see benefits. It's a technical and mental process that transforms not just the steering, but also the concept of leadership on the track. That's precisely where Charles is making an impact. Because today, if Ferrari is able to compete with McLaren and Mercedes, it's also thanks to Leclerc's ability to adapt to a car that demands the maximum without giving any certainties. For those familiar with Formula 1, it's in these moments that you see who truly stands out. After the first podium of the season for the red team, Leclerc has once again proven to be the real driving force of the team. In that race, he managed the tires well, read the pace perfectly, and compensated with his driving for everything the car didn't give him. But for him, it's not enough. It never is. And in Miami, he made it clear, more is needed. The words are precise, measured, but they reveal a lot. It wasn't the first part of the season we wanted, but it's the one we got. We need to look ahead and build on what we've done in the last 3 races. He knows that very well. To win today, we need the others to make mistakes, like Norris in Arabia. Every race is an opportunity. Every mistake by others is a gap to exploit, and every update that works can bring the SF25 closer to that window of competitiveness that it still lacks. Leclerc doesn't look for excuses. He aims for concreteness. We need to take the points that are available, and when we have a car capable of winning, we must win. And this is the vision of a leader. Build today to be ready tomorrow. Without distractions, without illusions, just work, performance, results. It will be tough in Miami. Red Bull will bring important updates. McLaren is in great shape. But the mentality with which Charles will face the weekend is the same. Give everything without sparing himself. Because every turn can be decisive, every strategic choice can overturn the race, and every detail can make the difference between another third place. It's something much bigger. Hamilton arrives in Miami with just 10 points collected in the first 5 races. The issue isn't just the numbers, but the absence of a technical foundation to build performance on. In Saudi Arabia, on a track with very high speed and grip, the SF25 seemed unmanageable for him. No feeling, no rhythm, zero confidence. That's where the whole distance, not just in time, from his teammate was seen. The technical issue is clear. Lewis has not yet found a setup platform that works. He starts anew each weekend, attempting solutions randomly. A movie already seen in the difficult years at Mercedes with the return of the ground effect single-seaters. There too, the problem was often the same. Lack of consistency in the car's behavior and inability to build on solid foundations. If the past returns, it's valid to ask a difficult but pragmatic question. These new generations of single-seaters, heavy, understeering, and aerodynamically complex, are incompatible with Hamilton's style. His driving style, based on violent braking and 5 rotations, suffers terribly with these cars that do not allow to bring speed into the curve. When the car allows it, Hamilton is still capable of magic, but when it doesn't, the limit becomes structural. They know this in Maranello, and the challenge for the engineers is immense. It's not enough to adapt the SF25 to the track, it also needs to be adapted to the driver, finding the perfect compromise between dynamic balance, mechanical grip, and front responsiveness, but for now that compromise still seems far away. Yet this was supposed to be the era of rebirth, the year in which Hamilton and Ferrari combined 2 legendary stories with the aim of returning to the top. But if after 5 races there is still no clear technical direction, it's fair to ask how much time there really is to reverse course. In Miami, the second sprint weekend is underway, providing an opportunity to better understand Lewis's relationship with the SF25. On a track where time is short and there are many variables, the ability to quickly find the ideal setup will be decisive. But the question remains open. Will Ferrari be able to give Hamilton a car that allows him to make a difference? Body language and short answers say much more than words. The frustration is evident, not because of a lack of effort, but because after 5 weekends, Hamilton feels that the technical situation of the SF25 still does not represent him and perhaps does not even listen to him. What's not working? Many different things, he said without filters. There isn't just one, it's a structural problem. In China, the only exception, they left the car as it was after FP1 no changes. And that was his first victory in red, a fact that speaks volumes. In all the other races, however, each session brought changes upon changes, often worsening the car's behavior. Hamilton admits it. Our modifications made it worse. The work with engineers is further complicated by a key factor, the driving style. They are used to tuning a car for a driver different from me, explains Lewis. And I'm used to driving single-seaters that respond to different inputs. Translated, the basic setup of the SF25 doesn't speak his language. It's not the first time this has happened. The first 6 months at Mercedes were challenging for him. The issue persists even now with ground effect cars. Lewis must adapt to a car that continues to transform daily. I'm working hard to adapt, but the tone is that of someone who knows that time is running out. In Miami, with the second sprint weekend of the season, the variables multiply. And without updates, the only hope is to optimize what is already there. We worked a lot on the simulator, he confirmed. Charles did a fantastic job in the race. He showed what the car can do. The goal is to replicate it. Hamilton only smiled when discussing life in Italy. He recounted there was ample availability and desire to support him, especially in the simulation, but then you get back on track. And there, good intentions are not enough. You need a solid technical base, a clear direction, a work platform that puts Hamilton in a position to return to being Hamilton. At the moment, it's not like that, and Ferrari can't afford to waste any more time because every weekend where the car isn't understood is a wasted opportunity for a driver who, even today, could make a difference, if only he could feel part of the car he's driving. When everyone is waiting for the right time to update, in Miami, on a weekend with a sprint format and only 1 free practice session, the Anglo-Austrian team decided to bring a crucial update, a new floor, which will be mounted exclusively on Max Verstappen's car. It's a bold move. With just an hour of FP1 to check the aerodynamic behavior, the risk is high, but so is the potential gain. In a world championship where McLaren has become the new benchmark single-seater and where Ferrari is preparing to update later, Red Bull breaks the hesitation and raises the stakes. It's a clear signal they don't want to chase, they want to return to dominate. In Formula 1, the car's underbody development is crucial for aerodynamic efficiency, generating most of the vertical load. Intervening in that area at such a delicate moment in the championship is a strong indication of Red Bull's ambition and confidence in their technical package. Yuki Tsunoda, satellite Red Bull team driver, will keep using the previous specification. Minimizing error and prioritizing data on a single, experienced and consistent driver demonstrates focus and importance. The total focus remains on Max and the race for the title, everyone with an eye on the new flexible wing regulations that will come into effect in the coming weeks, but Red Bull doesn't want to wait. Miami could be the first technical junction of the season, and an update that works immediately can change the balance. Verstappen will have just one session to grasp the new spec, but if all goes well, he could regain the missing race pace effectiveness from recent races. Red Bull has spoken up, and now it's the others' turn to reply. Could Oscar Piastri be the next F1 world champion? For Alan Jones, the last Australian F1 champion, Piastri has what it takes to succeed. And not just because of the technical level of McLaren today, one of the most competitive cars in the lot, but above all for his head, his mental strength, his veteran approach in a 24-year-old body. He can win the title this year without a shadow of a doubt. Clear, direct words spoken by someone who knows what it means to reach the top. Jones doesn't easily get enthusiastic, but he's very clear about Piastri. He's willful, mature, level-headed, and doesn't easily lose his temper despite his young age. That's exactly what it takes to win a world championship. Piastri leads the world standings today after 5 GPs, and even though we are only at the beginning, his consistency, coolness in the race, and the ability to always bring home the best possible result are already a strong signal. He's not a fireworks driver, but one of surgical precision, of capitalization. And according to Jones, this is exactly what sets him apart from his teammate. Because the second point that Jones insists on is the mental weakness of Lando Norris above all. He's quick but mentally weak, he said bluntly. He dwells too much on his problems and challenges. When you start saying certain things, it means they've hit you, and Oscar has the strength to sweep him away. It's a showdown that, according to the former Australian champion, won't just be played out on the stopwatch, but also, and perhaps above all, on the psychological level, where Piastri today seems more solid, more focused, more ready. Jones added that outside the car he's quiet, but when he gets in, he makes noise, exactly what you want from a driver. McLaren therefore has a very fast pair but potentially unbalanced, and if indeed the walking team manages to hold its own against Red Bull and Ferrari until the end, the internal management between the two could become the real balance point. However, Oscar Piastri is currently the one capitalizing on every opportunity, quiet, cool and relentless. As a reminder, he leads the World Championship standings. Remember to like, subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated with new videos.